All right, everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. All right. So some people that mean something, other people don't. Other people, it's just another day to call a drinking day. Not me, but I've heard of people who do that. All right. So today I want to handle something. I have a little talk I'm going to be doing called the Closing Lab. The Closing Lab is, some of you know, I just did something called Is Your Net Working? Which is really all about networking everything together. The Closing Lab is about, making more appointments, getting more of the ones you go on, getting your listing sold faster, getting buyers to sign a buyer broker agreement with you. These are all things that the Closing Lab is about. So you guys are going to hear it first today. Before I go out, the first time I'm doing it is a couple weeks in California. I'll be doing it, and then I'll be doing it in Arizona after that. I think in June. All right. So it's all about. To me, it's all about. Look. Anytime that you have to be prospecting, anytime you're not on an appointment, you're not negotiating a deal, you're not following up on your leads, and you have time to prospect, it should always be for sellers. Always be for sellers. You remember that, because when you have sellers, you will always have buyers. Some people get that confused where they prospect for buyers. I wouldn't do that. Okay? I mean, look, can you have a buyer seminar every now and then? Sure. All right. Should you work with buyers? Of course. But when you have time to prospect, work with sellers. So here's my number one point. Just number one. These are all number ones. They're all important. Okay. Master market knowledge. Okay. So that should be a given, folks. You should know your market. You should know your market numbers. You should tour properties around your listings, especially when you're going on a listing appointment. You should know the inventory inside and out. All right. You should also know your stats. This is a tough one for a lot of people. I talk about this all the time, but very few people do it. The best way to explain your commission is by comparing yourself to other people or the market averages. All right. So like when I went on listing appointments, if I was up against somebody, I would say, yeah, well, here's the thing. My average days on market was 31. The market is 70. Right. So I'm, 2.5 times better than the average in the market. My average list to sell price was 98.6. The market's about 95. Right. So I had all these numbers. Or if I was up against somebody, I could even quote them. All right. If you're in California and Arizona, you can do that yourself. If you're in Nevada, you got to ask your broker. I don't know why the MLS is set up like that. It just is. Right. So know your numbers. Hey, Rick, why should I pay you 1% more than the other person that was over here? That's a great question. Here's why. And I went through the numbers. Right. I personally, after my first 3 or 4 years in the real estate business, never had an expired. Had a couple withdrawals. Right. But not expired. I would never let a property expire. That was my claim to fame. All right. I would sell it, or if the seller wasn't willing to do what it takes, I would withdraw it. I would not have an expired listing. Okay. So know your numbers. I think days on market, average list to sale price. Do you have any expireds or withdrawals? Those types of things I think are important, and know your competitors. Easiest way to handle the commission objection, easiest way to handle the terms, like how long you want, all of that stuff is by knowing your numbers. Okay, the next point I have is, anybody can jump in and ask questions. All you have to do is hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. And then once you've unmuted yourself, make sure that you remute yourself on your own phone after that, because once you unmute yourself, you're live. So you got to make sure that you mute your phone after, because we'll hear everything you're doing, like if you're driving or. All right, so any questions, jump in anytime. All you have to do is hit *6. So the first point was know your numbers, and that's market knowledge, and part of that is knowing your numbers. Number 2 on my list is perfect your communication skills. As you guys know, I always say know the communication pattern. When you're in sales, the communication pattern is I talk in open-ended questions. What, when, who, where, why. All right. No matter what you say, I respond. I usually say something, oh, you're not moving. You know what? Why would you? This is such a great neighborhood. I'm curious, how long have you lived here? Right, so you always You always ask an open-ended question. Finish your sentence on a downswing, not go up at the end, go down, right? How about you folks? When do you plan on moving? How long have you lived there? Where'd you folks move from? Not where'd you folks move from? How'd you happen to pick this area? People talk like that and they don't even know they're doing it. That's why it's important to role play too. So know the communication pattern. Open-ended questions, finish a sentence on a downswing, whatever they say, repeat and approve, and then ask your next question. By the way, if you look at the book of everything, it's right on there. It's called RAM, repeat, approve, and move. Okay? Here's another point. When they actually answer your questions, listen. Don't interrupt them. Let them elaborate. You can actually dig deep on the answers they just gave you. Then get back to the script. Be human. The script is just a roadmap, folks. You can deviate. You can go off for a long time, then get back on. You can bounce around the questions when you get good. You don't have to follow. The whole idea is to follow the pattern. Okay? And then the last point I have about communication skills is, remember, it's all about them. Your fiduciary responsibility requires that, by the way. So I would just recommend, people can tell when you're all about them. People can tell when you're all about you. They want to work with you when you're all about them. Okay? I mean, think about it. Wouldn't you? Could you imagine you go into a doctor and he starts telling you about his problems? They never do that. Same with lawyers. It's called professional etiquette. In real estate, well, let me tell you about the first home I bought. Nobody cares. Don't take it for. Now, if they ask me, I will bring me into the equation, but I never bring me into the equation unless they ask me. And if they do, I always keep it brief. They have to feel the love, baby. Okay, so always make it about them. And that's the second one, perfect your communication skills. Develop strong negotiation skills. The number one way to have negotiation skills is by working with motivated people. People think, I have bad negotiation skills. I couldn't get these people to see the light. I'm like, well, tell me about them. Well, they don't have to sell. Well, that's your problem. How can you negotiate with the non-negotiable? Now, the reason why we deal with people who have less motivation is because we're not prospecting. There it was. 10 minutes in, I've said the P word, prospecting. Right? If you want to control your business and your life, you will make your contact goal your number one priority. It's just that simple, folks. You want to be in control, keep your pipeline full, and make it about listings. It's not complicated. We complicate it. I didn't say it was easy, but we try to complicate it. We try to make it different. Unfortunately, you can't. If you got some of you remember Mark Stark, I worked with Mark Stark closely, and one of my favorite lines Mark would say is, don't argue with the truth. Although we try. Well, it shouldn't be that way. Okay, there shouldn't be world hunger, but there is. We're not going to solve everything, on a Monday morning, especially when it's Cinco de Mayo. All right. So develop strong negotiation skills by, working with motivated people. Once again, knowing your numbers. One of the things I would talk about today is like negotiating the price on a listing. I would tell the seller, you have a tremendous opportunity right now. The opportunity is that you can use everybody currently on the market who doesn't understand the market we're in to help sell your home. All right? People buy homes. They get emotionally attached to a home for two reasons. One, what the house has to offer, that's features, benefits, square footage, location, backyard, all of that, versus the price. They look at it. People are educated today, folks. Our buyers have never been more educated, and sellers, about price. All right? So they look at it. They decide to get emotionally turned on or not based on those two things. Now, if they're looking at other ones and then yours sticks out, oh my God, look at this. Because versus the price, then they allow themselves to get emotionally turned on by that house. Then they have to see it immediately. Then when they find out it's been shown that many times and that there's other offers coming in, so you can still be in a multiple offer situation today. Okay? Also, when negotiating, stay calm and professional. Never sound like you're trying to talk somebody into something. You don't need, once again, when you're dealing with motivated people, you don't need to do that. All right, and then find the win-win. Okay, like what I would use today, if they've been in their home more than five, especially if they've been in their home like 10 years in Las Vegas, in any of our markets, Las Vegas, Arizona, their house has doubled in value. Okay, that's a pretty good investment, and they paid their mortgage down, and so what they owe versus what it's worth, there's some decent equity in that house. All right, when you try to get too greedy, sometimes you get nothing. If you look at the benefit you already had, and I point that out, you've been in this house for 5 years. What did you pay for it? How much is it appreciated? Right? I mean, I would definitely handle that. Well, look at the other people, what they're asking. Asking isn't selling. Asking is asking. Okay, so develop strong negotiation skills. Number one way is deal with motivated people, know your numbers, stay calm and professional, and find the win-win. All right, create a sense of urgency when necessary. And I would say only when necessary. Okay, so what's an example of that? All right, know their motivation is my answer. All right, you're moving to Walla Walla, Washington. You have a job starting in 60 days. We have an offer. These people are solid. They're going to close quickly. Okay, and let's say the seller's going to throw it away for $1,500 in repairs. Do you really want to throw this away and emotionally turn them off? Once they're turned off, they won't come back for $1,500, or do you want to put everything together? So that's what I'm talking about when you create a sense of urgency. I would even say it's like, I've done this before too. You're in Las Vegas. You've just won $450,000. You're going to push it all back across the table to make $451,500. You would never do that. Why would you do that here? Right? So put it in perspective. Stop. They only look at what they're losing. They're not looking at what they're gaining sometimes. It's your job to get them back to reality sometimes. So create a sense of urgency when necessary. Even in my slide projection, it says when necessary. Okay, only because if you do it too early, you sound like a slimy salesperson. Okay, leverage technology and tools. Okay, is number 5 on my list. That means keep your CRM up to date. Keep your CRM up to date, guys. I mean, it's amazing to me how few agents do that, especially here. It's free. Okay, well, it's part of your split. It's not free technically. It's part of your split, meaning it doesn't cost you any additional money other than your split. Market like a pro. Use all the digital tools we have. You use all the digital tools we have, the VAC, BHHS Connect. You guys look like rock stars. Okay, and then I would definitely use, the mobile app, the new mobile app that we have out. Definitely use that. Just use all the tools that we have, folks. Look smart, look good, look intelligent. Remember, they use you because they believe you know more than them. If they don't believe you know more, they don't use you. It's not complicated. All right, here we go. There's leverage. Once again, guys, if you have a question, hit *6. I can hear you. *6 unmutes you, and I can hear you. All right, number 6 on my list, establish trust and build relationships. And the number one point on that one is do what you say you're going to do. I would even say always do what you say you're going to do. Otherwise, don't say it. Remember, you have a fiduciary responsibility, and I have to remind people of that all the time, which means their needs come before yours. When you're thinking of your car payment and you're thinking of you can't be helping them properly. Once again, there's another reason why I'm always going to make my contact goal every day. I am not going to be a hostage to this business. I've been a hostage a few times early in my career. I will never be a hostage again. Hostage means I'm working with people, they're less motivated, they end up not buying, they end up sucking up all my time, I didn't prospect, I didn't fill my pipeline. So now, not only did I not have a sale or a closing with 1 or 2 of my clients, I've also not filled my pipeline. So now I intuitively know I am really upside down right now. That is the worst feeling ever in real estate. But you have total control over never letting that happen again from here forward. So if you're in that situation right now, it's okay. Just make a promise to yourself, never to be a hostage again. Don't be a hostage. It's totally up to you. Well, but these people, I thought one client should never change your schedule, ever. Your schedule is what statistically gets you there. Makes you, gives you more surety, gives you more confidence, makes you can, so you can pay your bills and save money and do all the things you want to be doing. Your schedule is by far the most important thing, not one client. Okay, so establish trust, build relationships, always do what you say you're going to do, or don't say it, please. Agents get a bad rep, and a lot of times it's not because of the clients, it's because of us. Okay, be proactive and solution-oriented. That's kind of self-explanatory, right? Always be doing something proactive. Always look at the solution, not the problem. How do you solve a problem? By being solution-oriented. Find a solution. Get it done. Okay? So, and then I would say the last one on my list here is marketing and advertising. As part of your presentation, look, what I would do today for a listing presentation is very simple. I would go in, I would confirm motivation. So now, I've talked to you 6, 7, 8, 10 times. I've dropped off a pre-listing package to your house, right? We have tremendous marketing material in the VAC for that. I go out and I see you. I confirm your motivation. Now, you don't have to say it like this, you're definitely moving, right? You can say, well, you're definitely downsizing, right? You're definitely moving into that neighborhood, right? You're definitely moving to Walla Walla, Washington. Whatever their motivation, you definitely need that extra bedroom, right? You're having a baby, right? Confirm the motivation. I think it sets up the presentation better. Then I would get into, now, you guys have a tremendous opportunity. Like I said earlier, we can have everybody on the market help you sell your home. And then I would explain that again, like I just did before. All right, we can use all the other people out there based on price and features and benefits and backyard, front yard, square footage, garage, pool, all of that versus the price. And I would go into that. Or you can go on the market, be one of the masses, and sell in 70 to 90 days. Which sounds better to you? Let them make the call. At least you set it up. All right, and then my third question would be, would you guys like me to handle it for you? Sometimes they say yes right away. Some of you have heard me say this. If you haven't, I'm going to say it again. Why sell with blah, blah, blah when you can sell with blah? A lot of times we can say less and be hired. All right, so regardless of what they say there, though, I'm going into the CMA next. That's my next thing. So set up motivation, offer them that wonderful marketing plan solution I just gave you, and then close. Not that complicated. Well, that's kind of early. Not when I talked to you 72 times on the phone and followed up with you. And, most of the people that you're working with, especially if you have a consistent pipeline of prospecting, this is not the first time you've talked to them. Okay? Then I'm going to go into the CMA. I never tell them the CMA. I involve them. They have a copy of the CMA. I ask them questions. We go through the actives first, because those to me are the most important, because that's your active competition. The second one are comps, which really justifies value, right? And then any expires I might throw in there if I think they're somewhat delusional on price, right? If everything goes well there, I close again. Boom. I'm going to say it's about a third of the time they say yes up front. About another third of the time, they say yes after the CMA. And then only about a third of the people, you have to go into everything, which means go into the VAC, whether you have it printed out and you're going to present it, the marketing presentation in the VAC. Every one of you should learn that. And then that's it. There's my presentation. It's not complicated. Very simple, confident, organized. It's in the top of my head too. People go, well, how do you, because I've been doing, I didn't have the marketing we had. So most of my presentation was just the first two parts, right? With a marketing presentation, the stuff that we have from a global, the websites, everything that we have in the VAC, you should learn just how to present it. Look at Maria, watch Maria Lorette, and there's all kinds of training videos in there, right? The online syndication, the print media, creating buzz around your home, all that stuff is in there. Okay, read it, understand how to present it. That's all I'm saying. And all you have to do is watch the training videos in there. Now people go, well, why can't you put that all together for us? Because let me tell you something. If you're willing, if you are somebody who's going to put together their presentation, you're going to spend the time to do this because you're going to do it in your own personality. I just gave you my personality. I asked 3 questions. I do the CMA. I show the marketing. I close at the end of each one of those too, because I may not, if I don't have to get into the marketing and you're going to sign, I'm okay with that. If I walk in, take a look at your house and say, you guys ready to hire me? And they say, yes, boom. I still do the CMA though, because we got to do price. Okay, that's my presentation. That's my personality style. Okay. And like I said, comps and pricing. You want to make sure that you guys are on the same price, wavelength there, because that's an important part of the whole. I mean, pricing is extremely important. Comps are only there to justify that. That is all. All right. So there you go. That's the closing lab in a nutshell of all the things that I would be concerned with in today's market. But I would definitely use, we have a tremendous opportunity in today's market to have everybody currently on the market that's been on the market help you sell your house. That's like the best marketing tool you could absolutely hope for today. And it's based on price and features and benefits. If I was selling my home today, and that's the question I always ask myself. I've been doing this 40 years now, right? If I was selling my home today, what would I do? Exactly what I just explained. Everybody would be there to help me sell my home, and I'd probably get multiple offers. Because if you guys noticed, that first 30 days your home's on the market, that is by far the most important time. Now, you get above $1 million, then I would say the first 60 days. You get above $2 million, then I would say probably the first 90 to 120 days. So the time frames are slightly different based on pricing. All right, there you go, folks. All right, any questions for me? Hit *6 and I can hear you. Questions, comments, epiphanies, anything, hit *6, then we can hear you. If no one hits *6, then I only can assume that I've explained it so well that no questions are necessary. That's my delusion, and I'm going with it. All right, guys, keep it rocking. If you need me, call me anytime. You guys are the best. We'll do this again next week. Thank you.